usted quiera.
We're going.
Yo vine on time. Yo no sé, Eric, si vino late, pero yo vine on time.
Oye, ya vamos a empezar, ¿sabes?
¿Y esto para qué?
You have to sign.
Que ya vamos a empezar.
Sign.
¿Va a dar la gracia a quién?
Welcome, everyone, to our special commission meeting, City of West Miami. Today is Tuesday, September 3rd. It is 7:34. My apologies, Vice Mayor. I'm starting the meeting 4 minutes late, but thank you for being here on time. My apologies for starting 4 minutes late.
Everything is on.
Okay, with that said, tonight's a special meeting, so there usually is not an invocation for special meetings. But in light of what's happened over the last couple of days, I've asked our Chief of Police for a special invocation. So if you will all rise, please.
Let us pray. Almighty God in heaven, we thank you for your constant blessings and the mercy you bestow upon each of us every day. Thank you for keeping Hurricane Dorian away from South Florida, and we pray that it continues out to sea without affecting any additional land. We pray for the people of the Bahamas that were so severely battered by the horrendous winds of this storm. Help those who are suffering the loss of family members, injuries, and the total destruction of their homes and businesses, and allow them to recover from this disaster. Give them strength and guidance in the weeks, months, and for some years to come in their recovery process. Help our elected officials to always make the best and proper decisions by guiding them with your limitless wisdom. Help those in our community who are suffering from illness, injury, and psychological distress. Help our police officers, firefighters, and military personnel who battle the forces of evil and keep us safe while sacrificing themselves each day. Lord, change us, make us better people to better love and serve you and our brothers and sisters here at home. May we someday have the privilege of being with you in your heavenly kingdom. To all this we say, amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Chief. And now it is my pleasure to have Jillian Paz lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Jillian?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, and to the republic, liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jillian. Madam Clerk, roll call? Roll
Yes,
call?
roll call. Mayor Rhonda Rodriguez,
Present.
Vice Mayor Luciano Suarez,
Yes.
Commissioner Candida Blanca, Commissioner Juan Blanes, Commissioner Eric Diaz-Padrón.
Here.
For the record, Yolanda Aguilar, Jose Villalobos, and Annette Gonzalez are present.
Tiene que ser en asunto.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next item.
Item 3, public comments.
Anyone here wish to speak? We have no public comments. Madam Clerk, before we proceed, I'm going to ask for a point of privilege since this is a special meeting and we do not have a mayor's report. It has been my pleasure and honor today to speak with one of our residents, Ralph De La Rosa. We all know that what's happened and still happening in the Bahamas, so it is. I want to bring this to my commission's attention, and hopefully get your buy-in. Mr. De La Rosa owns a freight forwarding company, and he has volunteered or offered for us to partner with him to have our relief effort, like City of West Miami, to collect donations. He has secured the line of transportation. He has the contacts in the Bahamas. So he's got everything to go. You know, there's a few things he's still got to work out, but he's done this twice. He did it for Irma, and he did it with Maria. He had a very successful relief effort. So he's offered to bring a 26-foot trailer, and we're thinking the best place to put it is going to be at the wreck. And then he has a list of requested or required donations. The Bahamian consulate has designated certain supplies that they will accept, things that they need. So he has that in hand. And once we fill up that trailer, he will transport it, no cost to the city. He needs us to do is obviously man the trailer. So with volunteers, I'm going to be the first one to volunteer, and I welcome anyone who'd like to volunteer with me to man the trailer and be sure that, you know, what the items that are dropped off are what is necessary. We can't accept items that the Bahamian government doesn't need. So with that said, I'd like to see if you have any questions or if you are in agreement with me that I can proceed to work with Mr. De La Rosa in the details for this relief effort. Yes, no questions? Comments? Vice Mayor?
Good idea.
Vice Mayor, are you good with this? Vice Mayor? Commissioner, Vice Mayor, Mr. Suarez, are you okay with this?
Okay. I think we need to do something for these people that are suffering very
Good.
hard. They're very hard, and our neighbors. Remember, Miami, this area was, in the beginning, was founded with the workers from the Bahamas.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Commissioner Diaz-Padrón, yes? Commissioner Blanes, yes? So I will be in contact, Madam Manager. Tomorrow we will reach out to Ralph and finish the details.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
So then, I'm looking to all of you to volunteer your time to man this trailer. We have to have, you know, out there, and I don't want to task our city employees who will already be doing, you know, their job. So I look forward to anyone and everyone who would like to volunteer with me to man the trailer. Get with the city manager and we'll set up a schedule. Okay?
We'll have a list available, and I'll get with John. Obviously, we could, I would offer that we would have designated hours so that
Correct.
there's no overtime involved. And,
Thank you.
you know, maybe discuss some ideas with you regarding, you know, the use of volunteers. And
Perfect.
with John Michael Lopez, our park director, so that at least he can oversee this effort when he's there at the park. And, you know, we need to huddle in the morning and I think come up with a good plan of action. So John, if you're available tomorrow morning, we can certainly meet with the mayor.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay?
So we'll work out the details later.
Perfect.
Be
Thank
happy
you.
to help you. Yes.
Next item, Madam Clerk?
We'll proceed with item 4, unfinished business. Under unfinished business, special agenda items.
Madam Clerk, my apologies.
Yes.
I have the note right here in front of me. I'd like to take an item out of order. With that
Yes.
said, I'd like to take item 5A
5A.
out of order at this time.
Yes, under item 5, under new business special agenda items, item A, oath of office of Evelyn Mayo Paz as project director for the City of West Miami Community Center. And the oath will be administered by your city clerk and witnessed by the city manager, Yolanda Aguilar.
Mr. Q, so he can take pictures. Thanks, Juan.
Ms. Mayo Paz, you're up. The family's welcome to come up if you'd like a little bit closer for pictures. You can come up a little closer. Of course. Well, we'll go for pictures after she's done signing.
Okay, Mr. Pena. Have it your way. Okay, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Evelyn Mayo Paz,
I, Evelyn Mayo Paz,
solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and will obey the laws of the United States of America
and will obey the laws of the United States of America
and of the state of Florida,
and of the state of Florida,
and that I will, in all respects,
and I will, in all respects,
observe the provisions of the Charter
observe the provisions of the Charter
and the ordinances
and the ordinance
of the City of West Miami,
of the City of West Miami,
and will faithfully discharge
and will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of the Community Center Project Director
of the Community Center Project Director
of the City of West Miami.
of the City of West Miami.
I hope you got it.
Congratulations.
Sign here
Now, if my colleagues will come forward for a picture.
Yes. So we have two originals. One is for you and one is for me. Sign here.
Such a long signature,
I know,
but it's okay.
don't worry.
It's for my history.
Sí.
Yeah.
Ah, no. No me ha llegado, ¿no?
Madam Manager.
Ella va aquí en el medio. La estrella va aquí, la estrella va en el medio. Y entonces nosotros vamos aquí.
I gotta go down. I feel so tall. I feel so
We'll sign
tall.
the other one después.
La
Levanta ahí, ponte aquí, levanta aquí, aquí.
La matica, la
Aquí dejamos, aquí al lado. Execute, please, be sure I am in the photo. Family. Hey, Marilyn. Marilyn, no,
Lo veo.
don't forget, smile.
A Neri, después que nací, irse para allá para que recoja la firma de todo ya.
Oye, el brindis no es ahora hasta que se vaya ella.
Sí, sí. Congratulations, Evelyn.
Congratulations. And now we're going to take a little break so we can enjoy some
Yeah.
refreshments.
Go to pastelitos, please.
¿Y después?
No, no, después
Well, now you can use me, guys.
fueron para el gimnasio, pero ya te diste tú tu vuelta. Ah, bueno. Fíjate que las mujeres siempre encuentran un gusto para los gimnasios.
Madam Clerk, we're ready to call the meeting back to order at this time.
It's fine. You can go to la carreta and have fun. Go celebrate. Go celebrate. Congratulations. Yes.
Congratulations. Bye-bye. Madam Clerk, next item.
Madam Mayor, would you like me to proceed with the regular order of the agenda?
Yes, I would.
Item 4, under unfinished business, I would like to request to defer this item until September 18th for lack of representation.
All right, very well. We will defer 4A.
4A deferred. Item B, discussion in reference to possible amendment to short-term rental ordinance from 500 annual registration to an amount of 2,000, sponsored by Commissioner Blanes, discussed at the June 19, 2019 Commission meeting, agreed to bring at the August 21st meeting, and postponed until this meeting.
Thank you. Commissioner Blanes.
Mr. Pena, can you shed some light on this item? As we had discussed previously, you gave me some information in regards to what can be done
Correct.
or not.
Well, basically, a year and a couple of months ago, we passed an ordinance regulating short-term rentals where we agreed to charge them $500 per year for the registration fee. Since that time, we've researched the Florida statute, and the maximum we could charge is $1,000. It will cover the expenses that are incurred with inspection and regulating the short-term rentals here in West Miami. Also, another thing that I discussed with the manager was that any house that involves themselves in short-term rental should also pay a double sanitation collection fee to cover the cost of the additional trash and garbage generated from the short-term rental.
And that's on a yearly basis, right?
That's correct.
Is it a year? Well, I don't think I need to, discuss and allude to what kind of issues and problems this kind of thing brings to our city. That's like having a motel next to you. I happen to have experienced this kind of thing. Absolutely, more excess garbage, noise. I know that I had to call the police at least twice on 2 different tenants. These people are basically on holiday. They don't realize that they're in a family-oriented neighborhood. And, some are people that will abide by the rules and regulations and be mindful, but most people are not. We've had a lot of residents come here and complain to us about the other Airbnb on 16th Street. And I remember the resident pleading, saying that it made her quality of life horrendous. So I've also experienced it myself. So, this is something that I wish we could legislate out of the city. So I happen to agree with Mr. Pena. I think that Airbnbs or whatever have you, they need to pay double for garbage. And I propose increasing that fee to $1,000 a year. And if it could be more, I would advocate for more.
Thank you, Mr. Pena. Are there any other comments or questions from the table?
Let me clarify this. According with the proposal of Commissioner Blanes was to increase to 2,000, from 500 to 2,000. That was your idea originally. Now, according what you explained, if I understood clear, is that the maximum we can said is 1,000
That's correct.
by law.
Yes, sir.
All right. And then you propose to double the trash collection because the debris they produce, or the garbage they produce.
That's correct.
That's your proposal.
Double the sanitation fee.
Double, and this is something that is legal and this is possible.
Well, we're allowing a second dwelling on the property where we only allow one in single-family residence. By allowing the vacation rental, you actually have now two dwellings on that property.
It's a different category.
And our ordinance is per dwelling unit, so.
So according with your proposal or your analysis is to go to 500 to 1,000 and double the trash collection, that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You agree with that?
Absolutely.
I make a motion.
I have a question, please. Is it legal about the garbage collection? Mr. Villalobos?
I have not researched that. No one has asked me about it, so the question was not directed to me. I don't know that you could segregate. This is not creating a double residency. It's a rental of a partial residency, so I don't know that that would be true or not.
But Juan, you as Director of Public Works, you know what you're talking about.
Again, in my interpretation, I consider the minute that you rent it out, you have a business. If you have a business, our ordinance is very clear, it's per dwelling unit. Just like duplex is a business, it's per dwelling unit.
So this is according with the
Well, that's up to,
with
subject
the
to.
ordinance, it's according with the business difference to the residence, right?
Correct, but the city attorney obviously has to agree with the.
You did not discuss with him before tonight?
No, we recently discussed it, me and the city manager, and that was as far as we got it.
And neither city manager, you talked to the lawyer?
We haven't had a chance. We had Dorian in between.
Well, but if you said that your interpretation is because of business, I trust in your analysis and your decision.
Again, we have to check.
And then I make a motion, in case this is not correct legally, then the attorney, the counselor, may come back with his opinion, and then we change this, but according with your opinion, which is by the head of the department, looks to me it's all right, because from the residential to business. So
Again,
that's why I can make a motion, from double and 1,000.
Vice Mayor, if you would, I believe we had another question on the table. Commissioner, did you have a question before the motion?
No, I didn't have a question. I had the same question that Commissioner Blanca had. But if I could, Vice Mayor, there's two different questions here. There's the question of the registration fee, which is what Commissioner Blanes put on the agenda, and then there was the additional thing about the garbage. Now, I have concerns about the garbage fee, legal concerns, that I think need to be researched. When it comes to the registration fee, is that $1,000 correct?
The problem is that, you see, this might be interpreted as an indication that somehow the intent of the ordinance would be perceived as an intent to thwart, circumvent, and defeat frustrate the preemptive mandate of the state of Florida. I'm going to read from the statute. License fee. The aggregate is the word that is important. Fee per establishment charged to any public lodging establishment may not exceed $1,000. The word aggregate means the adding of each fee that you have to pay. So according to 509.251, this is lodging by the state of Florida. If in addition to that, you're going to charge another fee, that would increase, and that might have the interpretation that might be thwarting the intent of the legislature.
Okay, so my opinion is that when my goal is to regulate short-term rentals as much as we can under its, as much as you reasonably can, right? So the only question is, are the fees that we're charging, do they aggregate up to $1,000 right now? Does anyone have an answer for that?
It's 500 right
it's
now.
500.
According to our ordinance 2018-03,
And are
it's
those all the
500.
fees that we have?
We have penalties built into it as well, correct, Mr. Penna? If they're in violation of not securing the license that is required to operate a short-term vacation rental, there is a penalty for that,
There's
correct?
code enforcement penalties on
Code
that,
enforcement.
but it
which
has
is
nothing to do with the license fee.
Right.
This is we're calling it, as far as the ordinance is concerned, and we do have a copy of the ordinance in our package. It is a annual registration fee.
That's correct.
Everything over and above that would be code compliance, if they did not comply with our ordinance. So-
No, I'm sorry. There's a registration fee. In addition, there's a licensing fee, there's a re-inspection fee, and a violation of any fine. So it's just not the registration, but it's the rest that you're charging. In addition to that, the registration, you're supposed to charge a licensing fee.
We're only discussing the $500 annual registration fee at this time.
By the way, this has to be registered with the Department of Business and Professional Regulation of the state of Florida. Has to have a license from the Department of Revenue of the state of Florida. So those are mandated by the statute. Okay? In other words, in addition to our license, there's a license by the Business and Professional Regulation of the state of Florida. And there's also a mandate to register with the people that collect taxes in the state of Florida.
Right, but we can only control what we have here in our city. We have nothing to say about all the other licenses and registrations that are required by the state.
Correct. At the present time, we charge a total of $550, which is a $500 fee plus a $50 registration fee.
So I just want to make sure that from what the city attorney read from the statute, the aggregate amount that was, what is it, $1,000, the aggregate $1,000, what did
Up
that
to
include? Is it
1,000.
only our registration fee? Or does that include the reinspection fees? Does that include the state licensing fee? What can go into that $1,000?
The problem is this: the statute does not establish or say what the aggregate is. In other words, when I'm reading Chapter 509.251 licensing fee, talks about lodging and services from the state. When it mentions aggregate, it doesn't say aggregate to what. It just says aggregate. So that would be an interpretation by a court of law in someone that would ask a court of law to ask in a declaratory judgment what that means. In other words, you have to go to court and defend that.
Any other comments or questions from the table? I'm in agreement with Commissioner Blanes, Commissioner Diaz-Padrón,
I make a
Vice
motion,
Mayor.
Mayor.
Mayor, we
I
have a
would agree-
motion and a
It's
second
a
on the
motion on the
table.
table.
Yeah.
Okay, I'd like to make a friendly amendment to that motion prior to the call for the vote, because we brought in the sanitation fee. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to vote on that this evening, but pending our city attorney checking into the legalities of the double sanitation fee. So your motion is
I made
to
the
go
motion,
to $1,000?
According with the knowledge of the Public Works Director, he has been studied this in the last days, and he spoke to the manager. According with what he found, I made the motion to double the trash because it's a commercial activity, not residential, and $1,000 because according with the what he checked is. And I make a motion, double the trash and the $1,000, the registration.
Comment. Item 4B is just a discussion. There is no call, there is no
This is not
ordinance,
the
or
ordinance.
there's nothing to
Yes.
vote on here. This is just a discussion. So I believe at this time, we need to come just to a consensus as to how we need to direct staff to proceed, because there's nothing to vote on.
We have to, Madam Mayor, if I may, a matter of procedure. When there's a motion and a second, and there's a friendly amendment, the person that makes the motion has to accept or not accept your friendly amendment. So the first thing that you have to do is ask the vice mayor whether or not he accepts your friendly amendment. If not, it has to be voted upon. You see, the purpose of this proceeding is to instruct the city attorney to draft or not to draft an ordinance.
Well, we have
So-
an ordinance. We would just be amending the ordinance.
Amendment
Or
to the
amending the
ordinance.
ordinance.
Correct.
You make, excuse me, you
Yes.
make a friendly amendment.
My friendly amendment would be, this is a non-voting item, but my friendly amendment to your motion is to allow our city attorney to look into the legalities of the double sanitation fee. And if he finds it is legal, then we include that in our direction
Well-
to add that to the ordinance.
Let me answer you, Mayor. This was discussed June 19.
Okay?
You see there?
I do,
We come for today,
right?
September the 3rd,
Correct?
and 2 months. And in 2 months, the distinguished attorney, counsel of our city, never discussed with the public works, never discussed with the manager. What do you want to do? A friendly amendment for the attorney, take 2 more months to read this or to take a decision?
Sir, in the
cannot
discussion,
be
in the
that.
discussion of June 19 and August 21, the double sanitation fee was never discussed. This is the first time this table is discussing a double sanitation fee. And both our Public Works Director and I believe staff agreed that they didn't have the opportunity to discuss this with our attorney.
Well,
So
my
because
my
this-
motion was $500 double trash and $1,000 registration.
And my friendly amendment is going to be the 500 to the 1,000. I am in agreement with that. But
Madam
I-
Mayor,
I-
the vice mayor does not agree with your friendly
No,
amendment.
Okay,
I
so-
don't agree that you involved the mayor, the attorney again in this.
This is a
because
legal-
we're going to be 2 more months. I don't agree with the friendly amendment that you involved the attorney again, the council. But
This
if
table-
he did not before,
Sir, this was not brought to his attention before, so how could he have
Madam
looked into
Mayor,
it?
Madam Mayor, if I may.
Yes, you may.
Commissioner
yes,
Luis
yes,
Suarez,
Commissioner, yeah.
you want to interrupt me, sir, or you want me to
No,
talk?
no, just correct
Okay,
him.
proceed,
Okay.
Mr.
Okay.
Attorney, proceed.
He did not accept your friendly
Very
amendment.
well.
Therefore, you have to vote on the motion that have been second, period. Your friendly amendment is no longer valid.
Okay? What are we voting on exactly?
The motion presented by Commissioner Blanes.
Yes, Madam Mayor, to increase from 500 to $1,000.
Madam Clerk, if I may, pardon the interruption. Again, this is not a voting, item 4B is a discussion.
Discussion to instruct me to do something. I have to find out whether the commission as a whole wants me to do something.
So wouldn't an all in favor suffice, not a vote? This is not
It's either in favor or not in favor by majority rule.
to give
Whether or
you the
not
direction
You
to,
give me direction to do something.
okay?
So we have had discussions in the past. What have we done? Have we voted, or have we all said aye? Madam Clerk?
Madam Clerk.
Usually it's blessed by the whole commission to, and instruct the city attorney to prepare an ordinance according to the terms of your discussion and to as to the ideas and initiatives you've had in
Do
regards to
we
the
vote,
ordinance.
or do we say aye?
The same
That's-
thing,
that's the que-
Commissioner.
I mean, I don't know if it makes a difference, but,
It is the same thing.
Okay.
I'm telling you, legally,
Okay.
it's the same thing.
okay, so then.
Madam Clerk, call the
let's
vote.
just-
Madam Clerk, call
Okay.
the vote.
Commissioner Diaz-Padrón, how do you vote?
This is to bring forward an ordinance or
Or-
bring forward something?
This is to give the
To instruct the
attorney
city attorney.
instructions to amend the ordinance per our vice mayor's motion.
Okay, so I don't know what's going on, no.
No?
Should we clarify? So, does everyone else understand what we're voting on?
The motion of Vice Mayor Suarez was to increase the fee from $500 to $1,000 and to double the sanitation fee. That was his motion. Commissioner Diaz-Padrón votes no. Commissioner Blanca, how do you vote?
No,
Commissioner Blanes?
Yes,
Vice Mayor Suarez,
Yes.
Mayor Rodriguez.
I have a question, Mr. Attorney.
Can't do that now, too late.
Did someone second the motion?
The motion was seconded by you, according to my notes.
No, I did not. I didn't second the motion.
I heard the
That's why I'm
second.
asking.
Who seconded the motion then?
I did not.
Well, there's no motion on the table then.
The motion was
I made
made
the motion.
by the vice mayor.
I make the motion.
Okay, so,
Somebody second, I heard. There's a-
I didn't.
When there's no motion then?
There's no motion.
Okay, so can I make a motion now?
Make a motion.
Okay, the motion is to increase the fee to $1,000 a year and wait until the city attorney has the time to do the research and to make sure that doubling the garbage fee is not something that would be illegal.
I have a motion on the table. Do I have a second?
Second,
Madam Clerk, call the vote.
Commissioner Blanca, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Diaz-Padrón,
Yes.
Commissioner Blanes,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Suarez,
yes.
Mayor Rodriguez.
Yes.
5-0, item passes to instruct the city attorney court to contemplate an ordinance with the terms you've discussed. Next item is item 4C, annual evaluation of the city manager and city clerk.
I will open it up to the table. Any comments? Any thoughts on item 4C? Anyone?
Hey, you are the head of the table.
I will go last, sir,
I
yes.
wait for your
Which
evaluation.
one are we
I
going?
am opening it up to the
Which one are we
table.
talking about now?
Evaluation.
We will go with the.
Oh, I got it.
Yes,
May I?
yes, of course, you may.
I want to congratulate and also thank you, Yolanda, for a job well done as usually. Thank you, Yoli, and congratulations again.
Thank you, ma'am.
And Neri, congratulations, you are doing a very good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next. I'm last, sir.
I would like to hear your evaluation.
I reserve the right to give mine last, so. Anyone else from this side of the table?
I'll go. I think city manager has done a very good job, obviously, for last 30, how many years?
Going on 36.
36. It's institutional knowledge that is, improved every single day. And the city clerk has also been very responsive to me and done a very good job, and I think we're lucky in this city to have both of them.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Commissioner Blanes?
I concur with Commissioner Blanca and Commissioner Diaz-Padrón.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor?
Outstanding job. They do outstanding job. Now, keep, it's your turn now.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you all for your comments. I would have hoped for a little bit more words, but that's okay. We'll take it. Madam Clerk,
Yes, Madam Mayor.
you are very, very knowledgeable in your job. You've taken all the required trainings. You're constantly going back and learning more. You are very detailed in your record keeping. You keep us on the straight and narrow as far as what we need to know, when we need to know it. Your agendas are always out on time, and I know sometimes we make it a little difficult on you as far as getting those agendas out when they're supposed to get out. So I appreciate your patience. You've always been there for every question I've had, as far as guidance, things I needed to know, that I didn't know I needed to know. you have proffered that information to me, so I appreciate that. You've been, you've conducted yourself with the utmost professionalism, and I know that you are you still the president of the Clerks
Yes.
Association, which goes over and above your duties and responsibilities, so I appreciate that. And always putting your best foot forward when you're out representing our city, as in your association. So I could not ask for more. You've done an outstanding job in this past year. And I look forward to continuing working with you and your guidance and your demeanor. And it's always happy, always pleasant, always positive. So I thank you. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you. Thank you for your words. I've been with the city for 23 years already. I do what I do with passion and love for the city. So thank you. I'm proud of it. I'm proud to work for the city and for you and together with you. So thank you.
And you're also not afraid to ask questions. I know you confer with the city attorney many times, so you're not afraid to ask for help or guidance or just, to work closely with the city attorney, the city
Yes, and the
manager,
city manager,
with every
yes.
department. You're willing and able to work with everyone to get the job done the way you do it. So thank you for that. Madam Manager,
Yes, ma'am.
you're back. You came back, hit the ground running. Again, it's the institutional knowledge that you continue to get, provide to the city. There's no words for it. I saw another level of dedication from you this past week or so with Hurricane Dorian and how you were working with our department directors. I know you were on the phone with many of them after hours, and I do want to thank all our department directors for being there during that time. I know you were constantly and our police department constantly in contact with the city manager, but I know she was orchestrating that. She was the person, reaching out to you all, and you all came together, and you made our city ready if we had to take action. And I saw how you orchestrated that. I see daily how you keep the city running in the right direction. I couldn't ask for more. I know you give us your all every single day, and it's 24 hours a day, literally. It's not just during work hours. I know, you're not on the clock, you don't clock in, but you're there for our city 24/7. I see how you work with the entire city, all employees, department directors, and you make sure that we are gelled together and that we all work together as a team, and that takes very good management skills to keep the city going in the right direction and all together. So I thank you for your professionalism. I thank you for your dedication. I couldn't ask for more.
Thank you very much for your kind words, Madam Mayor. And briefly, I'm very happy to be back. I committed and I pledged to the city when I returned that I would do it with a passion, with the same passion I had before. Again, the institutional knowledge, not only that my office offers, the institutional knowledge that we have with all of our department directors here is very valuable to being, to excelling, if you would. And we always try to bring out the best version of you with the information that we provide you with. We're frugal with our decisions, with the taxpayer money. We try to build and find consensus when sometimes we lose our way, and we try to be the conduit to finding that. And it's kind of difficult when you're dealing with, obviously, not one person as a boss, but you're dealing with 5 individuals who have, I think, the same goal but want to get there in a different direction, with a different roadmap, if you would. I'm blessed. I put everything I have in my heart and my soul into my job because this is my home. And I always try to think about how I would feel sitting on the other side, meaning how the residents would feel when I come up with a recommendation, because I'm a resident too. So I always look at the other side. I look at, how our recommendations impact the commission as well. And I try to find somewhat of a working consensus, if you would. And believe me, what we do is not easy. You come in here and you have a set of things to do and follow-ups, and there comes a storm. Well, you have to know how to shift gears and shift priorities from one second to the other. And again, I go back to the people that we choose to be in the right departments, leading those departments, because we're only as good as the people that we surround ourselves with. So I thank you for the kind words, all of you, for the vote of confidence. I'm here, and I'm, again, dedicated and committed to my office. Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for your kind words.
Thank you both. Any other comments? Next item, Madam Clerk.
If I may,
Yes, you
Madam
may.
Mayor, I'd like to make a comment, and I don't think that this is the smartest thing that I can do. I think that the smart thing is to be quiet and accept things that I believe they're wrong. I believe that there's not one person in this city that would like to say no to a commissioner. However, I don't think it's fair for a commissioner to ask for a legal opinion from Mr. Pena. First place, if Mr. Pena gave you a legal opinion, that would be a felony. So therefore, it is totally improper to do that. I have not been afraid to butt heads with authority, and I certainly am not afraid to do it now. And I think, Commissioner or Vice Mayor, what you did was totally improper. Your duty was to ask me and not to ask an employee that you know would say whatever, would answer whatever thing that he had in his mind. But legally, you're supposed to talk to me and not to one of the staff. Am I clear?
Not enough, because he's the boss of the Public Works.
He
comes here.
cannot give a legal opinion
Well,
on anything.
I don't ask you for a legal opinion.
Yes, you did.
He produced his opinion, and I asked him if he checked that opinion was according with the legal things in other cities, or the legal thing he understood. And he told me yes. So if you and him did not spoke for 3 or 4 months from June to today, it's a problem. You and him is not my
It's a
problem.
problem between you and I, sir, because you should have asked me and not him. You
Well-
understand?
Well, no, he's an employee from the city.
But if he didn't ask me, okay, I have not at fault. You should have asked me, and it's your duty to ask legal questions to a legal counsel.
Well,
And
yes.
what you did is improper,
Well,
okay?
that's your opinion. I
No, no,
respect your
that's-
opinion.
That's what I'm telling you, sir.
I don't ask for your
Okay.
opinion. This is your opinion. But he's the head of the Public Works, and I have the right to ask him things.
Not legal issues.
He respond to us that when he produced this information, he checked before. And this information, according to what he said, was according with the customary, legal or customary things they do in other cities.
As an
Now-
attorney, I'm
now, if
telling
in
telling
three-
you that what you did is improper.
One at a
okay?
time, and I'm only going to allow a minute more or so of this, and then we're moving on to the next item. One at a time, please.
I'd like to be excused for a minute.
Yes, sir, you may.
And by the way, whenever you want to have any discussion, I'll be available for you and I to talk whenever you want, okay?
I know.
Okay.
That's why I
So please pick up the phone. You have my phone number at the office, my phone number at home. So you call me, sir. You
no,
understand?
but in the meeting, I have to ask him.
You have to ask me
And you-
because I'm your lawyer.
What? But he's the head of the department. So if I ask him the question, you
Am I
should.
clear now, sir?
Well,
Am I clear
That's
now?
your opinion.
No, am I clear?
No, your opinion is that.
Gentlemen, this
All right.
discussion is ended. Thank you both. Thank you both for your opinions. This discussion is ended. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Item 5B, this is a bid tabulation report by the Office of the City Clerk in reference to City of West Miami citywide drainage improvement at Southwest 12th Street and Southwest 57th Avenue and at Southwest 13th Street and Southwest 65th Avenue, and recommendation by the Office of the City Manager. And the bid results are as follows. On Monday, August 12, 2019, at 3:05, the following bids were opened publicly, and the result were as follows. By Magold Inc., the amount was $178,567. From H&R Paving Inc., $182,556.15. By JVA Engineering Contractor Inc., $191,987.50. By Falcon 6 Infrastructure Group, $310,000. Those were the bids that were opened on that day, and to that I yield to the city manager for her recommendation.
Madam Manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Madam Clerk, for the report on the tally of the bids. At the last special city commission meeting, if my memory doesn't fail me, which was held on August 21st, the commission decided to go ahead and set aside $200,000 or $225,000 for restoration work in connection with the upcoming water improvement project, Phase 1. And the commission decided on priorities, and it was overwhelmingly the decision of the commission that all of our effort, meaning all of our resources, financial resources, should be put into the potable water system. I'm just here to advise you that we have, with this idea of contributing towards the Phase 1 of the water project, we have very little money left in reserves to award these drainage projects. What I would recommend that the commission, in the direction that you should move forward, and I have discussed it with Mr. Penna briefly and with Mr. Alonso, is that at least we could do maybe one drainage, the worst spot, and obviously we would leave that to Mr. Penna and Mr. Alonso's discretion in what is the worst area, because what I don't want to do is, in moving forward, we may be walking backwards and depleting our reserves in the half-cent penny tax. So I think my recommendation is that we take these projects slowly but surely as the funds become available, because you're putting a sizable amount of money. If you approve the budget this evening, the tentative budget, you are committing a large sum of money toward your water project. So my recommendation is, let's take baby steps with the drainage, because we have done a lot in drainage improvements over the years. So that would be just a cautionary recommendation, if you would.
Madam Manager, are you saying that we have some money to take a baby step and to do one of these drainage projects, or not?
We have, and I think if you take the bid, I think we're looking at about $45,000 per location. Is that correct, Mr. Penna? Is that what you advise me?
No, one of the smaller project is, I believe, 50, the separation is there, is 51,000 or something like that and change.
51,000. That would be the bid
For the smaller,
for the smaller one. Well, if we take 51,000, you're going to deplete your reserves in PTP. By the $51,000, you're gonna be left with $50,000 for next fiscal year in reserves.
Thank you, Commissioner. I'll come back to you, Madam Manager, Commissioner.
If I do recall correctly, I think that we decided that we were going to put all the funds into the water distribution system, and that we would wait to fix these this flooding issues that we've had for many years. I mean, I don't know, maybe we can do one, but the consensus, if I recall correctly, was that we would use our resources, our financial resources, towards, dealing with the water distribution system and not the flooding.
I do
And you are
recall, I do
correct.
recall the same, Commissioner. Commissioner, anyone else have any questions or
It-
comments or
If-
concerns?
If if it is the administration's city manager, Mr. Pena's thoughts that we can actually maybe address one of these and not deplete the financial resources that much, then so be it. I would be willing to entertain that, if that is a possibility.
Madam Manager?
I'm sorry, sir, what you're saying is without depleting 100% of the reserves to do one drain, what I expressed earlier on, to do
Yeah.
one project and then devote the balance of the reserves as per our budget allocation towards the water project, which is the main focus and priority of the city, correct?
If, under your estimation, it doesn't take a lot of financial resources to address one of the issues.
I think you have only, one drainage that you can accomplish next fiscal year.
And then use the rest of the financial resources to tackle
Right.
the big problems that we've had, that we've been, trying to get accomplished for now many, many years.
I am in agreement with you, Commissioner, that I believe this table agreed at the last meeting that we would put all our priority right now is our potable water system, to get that money, not only the money that we so graciously receive from the state, or will receive from the state, but even our portion that we're having to put in, that all that money was going to go into our potable water system pipes. So that was our priority right now. Now, this bid tabulation, if we were to say we're going to hold it, would we have to go out to bid again when the time came that we
It all depends how
felt it
long
was
it
right
takes.
to do this?
It all depends. If you hold the entire bid and you want to revisit it in 3 or 4 months, I'm sure that, but to be honest with you, I believe that if we wait, let's say, half a year to see how the potable water project is moving along, because the one thing I did want to mention is the city engineers are going to go out to bid.
We're still
Once they
waiting
go
on that.
out to bid, we don't know what the exact bid amount is going to be. It may be less than what they have in the budget, or it may be more. That's why I wouldn't jump into any decision on the drainage project until we have some numbers to work with on the water, because the bids may come in higher or they may come in lower. We don't know. Or they may come in and rise to the level of the actual engineer's costs, which we will know then, at that time, that we'll have enough money to fund one additional drainage project.
I can say this, I have never been, nor will I ever be in agreement of depleting our reserves. I've said that from the moment I sat at this table, so I have never been in agreement, nor will I ever be in agreement of depleting our reserves. So, Mr. Pena, did you have something for
Well,
us?
what I was going to say is, just like the water project, once we put it out to bid, it's going to be a per-foot item. These two projects are the same. They're per-foot item. Whether you award the whole bid and we don't do the whole work, that doesn't change the bid. So we could award the complete package as it is on the next meeting, and then just tell them to go ahead with the first phase, which is the one smaller project. And then the other one will sit till after the water project gets bidded out and see what the results are.
Any comments, questions from the table? On to either Mr. Pena, to the manager?
I have a comment, and Juan, I disagree. I think we should go first to the water bid, and I think that we're gonna fast track this project and then come back to the drainage, just to see what we're up against. And you know that I support you and your recommendations 100%, but I'm afraid that if the numbers are not there, we have to adopt the budget, we have to do certain things first before we look at the drainage. I would leave drainage, water first, and drainage second. If I may, Madam Mayor, could we ask our city engineer?
I was just going to let you
How long will
finish.
it take before they go to bid, and so we have an idea?
I was just going to ask him when you finish to come, and can you add anything to this discussion, Frankie?
Well, I mean, I could just give you kind of an overall schedule. We just started on the surveying for the project, so we're looking at, we're trying to get it done in about 3 months. So hopefully before the end of the year, putting it out to bid so that we can be building at the beginning of the year. So you're probably looking at 3 to 4 months before we have a bid in hand. Probably 4 months, before we have a bid in hand. I think, like Juan said, if you decide not to go forward with the bid, 6 months of waiting, I've seen it in the past where we've been able to negotiate with the contractors and have them hold their bid that long, but beyond 6 months, it's probably gonna be a little hard.
Right.
So that, the time frame may work out to just wait.
I have a
So,
question.
so we should have the bids on the potable water project within 3 months, 3 or 4 months. and then-
Let's call it 4 months. Let's call it, yeah.
And
like
then
end
you're
of the
saying
year.
it's very possible that these bid tabulations can be held for 6 months, so it's gonna fall within good timing.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Vice
not,
Mayor?
it's not
I have
out
a
of the
question.
ordinary that they would hold a bid for that for 6 months. We've seen it in other cities that they've taken, really long for procurement,
Okay.
and the contractors have held, I've seen them hold their bids. So.
Good information.
I have a
Vice Mayor?
question. Yolanda and Mr. Alonso, man, that 57th Avenue and 13th Street,
12.
we did have the money allocated for that before we start with the potable water, right? We did not,
No,
but we identified the problem there. The problem was
Yes.
identified, like a very necessary, right?
yes.
And the idea is to see with the bid for the potable water, some money is left, and then we take care of that.
Exactly,
That's the idea.
exactly. And I would just ask the mayor and the commission to allow us maybe one more meeting so that Juan can go back to the contractor and ask him if he can hold the prices or if we delay the decision 3 or 4 months, just because we have the potable water system. All I want to do is make sure that we come back and recommend the award. It's subject to the contractor agreeing to hold his prices.
I don't have a problem with that. Does anyone have a
Is that,
problem
is
with that?
is that acceptable,
Mr. Penna, is
Juan?
that-
I mean,
We can go back to them, sure.
Okay, and Mr. Alonso, that's acceptable?
I'd rather have him committing to it, and then we will proceed cautiously with a recommendation that obviously addresses both the potable water as identified by this commission as a priority and the drainage project, and start with the worst spot.
Well, we've heard from the city manager, public works director, and our city engineer. Does anyone have any questions? Are we in
No, I
agreement?
agree. I
Are we in
agree with that.
agreement with the process that the city manager just brought forward to us?
I agree with
Yes.
that.
All in
Thank you.
favor?
Thank you very much.
Aye.
All right.
Madam Clerk, next item.
Yes, next item is item 4C. Report and recommendation by the Office of the Director of Public Works and City Engineer in reference to City Hall office expansion and restroom renovation project.
I'm sorry. I didn't hear the question.
Yes, no.
No, the item on the
report-
passport office.
Oh, okay.
Are you
We
here?
have, yes, we negotiated with the builder that submitted the bid. Originally, his bid was at $259,000, and in negotiations with him, he agreed to his fee of to have his fee at $175,000, and us to buy the materials needed for the work through the city at estimating about $25,000, bringing the project within about $200,000.
He also wanted $10,000 from contingency per your email.
Contingencies there, the $10,000, just whether it gets used or not, that's not part
Right.
of the bid.
So the 185 plus the 25.
Right, the 10 is set aside by us.
So I'm sorry, somebody tell me what the total is we are at now? What's the bid total now?
205, I believe?
205?
205 down from
259.
259.
Right.
That's good.
Those are good negotiations.
Mhm.
Thank you for for working that in our favor.
Could, Madam Mayor, just for the record, could you go over the reductions in the,
Well, we took out items that were not necessarily needed right away, which is the front door of City Hall, the other windows that are on by the elevator side. We decided we could do those later on. The roof system that they had proposed, they redesigned it for a cheaper roof, but obviously providing the same coverage, and other items that we negotiated down.
and I think that initially it had a separate entrance to the passport office, and you've done away with that concept?
No, that was the first
Rendering?
rendering from the set of plans that McCarty Architecture submitted, but we changed that way before the bid went
Okay,
out.
okay. And this project includes the renovations of the restrooms?
The restrooms and the general restrooms under the staircase here get remodeled. One becomes a handicap multi-access bathroom, and then the other one just gets renovated.
And remind me, if you would, because it has been a while, what's going to happen inside? What are the changes to the
Inside
inside?
on the west wall of the City Hall building, where the two windows are there, those will become passageways into the addition. Those will be cut down, those windows will be cut down to the floor, and they will become accessways. And the one in front of the counter on the City Hall lobby will be for the lobby of the passport office. And the one by Sonia's desk will become the access to that area for the ladies that work downstairs.
This is where the counter is going to kind of become like an L shape, one side for residents and the passport office, if I'm remembering correctly?
It's on the other side of that wall. There'll be a new counter.
Because it's been quite some time.
Initially, it was gonna be like a wraparound counter because of the initial renderings, but those have changed a little bit, so
There'll
that
be
we can
three
work with that.
stations. Yeah,
Right.
it'll be a counter with 3 stations, and then the area.
I would say, will we see these renderings again, or no?
Is it there?
We have them right here, we could look
Good,
at them tonight.
perfect, because Commissioner Diaz-Padrón wasn't even sitting here at that time, or were you, when this came before us? No, so,
No,
No, no.
I mean, I really don't, vaguely I remember the details, but if we could see it again, that would be great.
you don't have it here, Juan?
No, those are the ones for the recreation center. It's basically a small addition to the west side of the building. The fire exit door that we have now that, on the side of the building, that stays there, and then a wall is constructed along the where the pavers are. The landscaping that's in front of the City Hall building gets removed, and,
So we're bumping it out.
yes,
We're bumping the front of City Hall out.
out about 15, 20 feet.
And that will be the passport office.
Correct, off the lobby,
So the counter, our lobby right now stays
the same.
as is for our residents and for city business, and then the passport has, now, did you say it's gonna have its own door, or
No,
it'll all be one door?
from the lobby and then into that room, into that area, because the window will serve as a passageway to there, where the current window is in front of the counter.
Okay,
I have a question,
yes.
because I wasn't sitting up here. Is this purely aesthetic, or is this going to actually speed up the process for residents that are not there to get passports?
Well,
Anybody?
it'll actually give more capacity to the City Hall lobby. Right now, when the onrush of the passports is there, it's very tight for the services that we provide.
We're gonna sort of segregate the services, if you would, to allow our residents to come in and transact city business at the main counter, and then the people who come and process passports will go to the other counter, to give them a little bit more privacy, if you would, the residents. And so what we're going to do is, obviously, with the use of existing staff, is man the passport counter.
We'll have two separate, not two separate, but we'll
Two
have.
separate counters.
We'll have, the ladies in the office, some will be attending passports, and then some will be attending
City residents.
city residents, okay.
Let me make
Yes.
a comment.
Yes.
Eric, the origin of this situation is because when we start with the passport agency, residents of the city came to pay the water, came to ask questions, and then all the girls were busy with the passport, very important papers, and they cannot put on the side, and, you know, so it wasn't the line that the residents were not attended properly because the passport
Right.
situation. So that's why the decision wasn't done, you know, to do a division, so the residents have the space for the own business with the city.
Right, I get that, and I go to City Hall and I
That's
see it,
what-
we all see it.
That's what the
There-
origin of the idea was.
There's a lot of people in there for passports, and the girls are all really busy, and if I was a resident in there, I would be a little upset, getting my water paid or getting whatever I
Right.
needed. So I just wanted to make sure that, because we're putting a lot of money in this, that this is actually gonna help. I know it can't cure it, because what's some of this manpower, but help cure that problem.
It's not only the manpower, the fact is that we've grown out of space, livable, if you would, because, you know, we haven't grown in land, but we've grown in projects, we've grown in compliance and record keeping and all that, so, we've outlived the usable space here, and because of the old files that we have not been able to digitize, because it would take another, you know, team to put that all in digital form, it's gonna take a long time. We have to use as best we can the facilities. Another concern that we have is the fact that these ladies are counting money in front of these large groups of people where there's no privacy, and we keep talking about this, and I look here to Mrs. Leon, because this has been an issue, even with the auditors, there has to be some privacy, some accountability, because we deal with a lot of money, and that box, that cash box has to balance every day. So we're talking about a huge security problem that we have.
Now, explain to me, or refresh my memory, how is this going to
Alleviate.
aid in that respect?
Well, the passport traffic, if you would, the traffic generated by passport applicants is going to be diverted into the area where this addition is going to be built. And so the ladies who are working with the daily deposits, the posting of the water bills, the posting of the garbage bills, going to be a little bit separated from that large group of people who come during peak season. So what happens is we're going to allocate 3 ladies on a constant basis that work in the office like we always do, and we're gonna keep 2 in the office working with residents. We have less traffic from residents than we do from passports. A lot of people are using the online payment, the website for paying their bills, their garbage bills and everything. We want to go ahead and put in the mechanism whereby, you know, even water deposits can be paid. We've actually added a point of service at the recreation center where people can come and register their kids and pay for it at the rec center. And we get daily reports from John Michael Lopez. So we are going more to the digital era, if you would, which we're behind the 8 ball, but it will alleviate and it will segregate a little bit the ladies in the office that have to deal with daily deposits, that have a financial obligation, so that we can take care of the
Mayor, have a comment to that.
banking errands.
Thank you, Madam Manager. Yes, Vice
And
Mayor?
I agree with you that they make a good negotiation for the price of the, they did a good job. Yes, very good.
Remind me, Madam Manager, and I know we've discussed this, but it's been a while. This money is already budgeted?
We have money in the accrued reserve and designated, and it's budgeted in this year's budget. So we have $148,000 that we're transferring in that were not used last year because the bids came in very high. We went out to bid 3 times, and now we have a bid that we can work with. So the money is budgeted, and a big bulk of it is accrued and designated for this purpose.
And this might be a question for you, Mr. Alonso, or for Mr. Penna. We will have uninterrupted service to our residents, correct, during this time of construction? And I know we discussed all this, but again, I apologize, it's been a while, so I just need a refresher.
Well, I mean, to a
Can you
certain,
move it up?
yeah, to a certain extent, there'll be some disruption.
But we
Yes.
would, we
but-
be able to keep our doors
yes.
open every day.
Yes, yes. Yeah, it's a complete addition, so aside from, parting our dust and some interruption, it'll be completely separate.
So the addition is
It's that
the part that's
yellow-
jutting out.
Yeah, the yellow portion.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I was looking at the actual picture.
May,
Vice Mayor, Commissioner, can you see that?
I
Oh, okay,
remember
okay,
when
okay.
when
You
it
remember?
was presented.
You remember, your memory's better than mine then, because I don't remember
No,
this.
that was a year ago,
I don't,
a year and a half ago.
it's
don't
a
remember what
very
I did
small
yesterday.
I
area.
remember that, yeah. We
To-
discussed
to the
here
west.
with the lady, yeah.
Okay.
I have may I ask a
Yes.
question of
Of
the
course.
city engineer?
Of course.
Frank, and Juan, have we contemplated with the contractor the discussion for them to work weekends and maybe after hours to try to fast track the project?
Yes, that was discussed and he agreed.
He agreed. And what is the duration of the project in construction phase?
By contract, it's 6 months, 180 days.
6 months.
Commissioner? Any questions?
No, I just want to make sure that we do this, that the residents really do feel that relief when they come in.
Okay, anything else? Mr. Penna, Frank, no? Anything else from the table? Questions, comments?
Madam Mayor, just as a point of clarification, the bulk of the money for this expansion is coming from general services, from impact fees, and not taxpayer dollars
Or reserves?
or reserves.
Thank you. Okay,
Next
this-
item.
This
We have
doesn't
a
require anything, so
resolution.
next item. Thank you all for the information and the report.
I believe that we need, and I would ask the city attorney to guide us on this, I believe we need a vote to proceed, a
We have a
resolution?
resolution.
Okay, great.
Yes,
Thank you.
item 5D.
Next item?
Yes, it's a resolution of the Mayor and City Commission of the City of West Miami accepting the recommendation of staff in reference to the passport office expansion and City Hall restrooms renovations, authorizing the city manager to execute contracts with the lowest responsible bidder, ComBuild LLC, providing for effective date.
make a motion?
Second,
Call the vote?
Yes, Commissioner Blanes, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Diaz-Padrón?
Yes.
Commissioner Blanca?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Suarez?
yes.
Mayor Rodriguez?
Yes.
5-0, item passes.
Next item?
Item E, discussion and recommendation and reconsideration of purchasing 4 decorative and illuminated entrance sign for the entrances of Southwest 62nd Avenue and Southwest 9th Street, Southwest 62nd Avenue and Southwest 20th Street, Sylvania Boulevard and Southwest 14th Street, and Southwest 67th Avenue and Southwest 24th Street, as requested by Commissioner Blanes, to be funded from General Fund, Non-Department $26,000, and from Surtax Fund $30,000, for a total of $56,000. This is a sole source vendor, City Manager, Director of Public Works.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Madam
Yes.
Mayor, the item is self-explanatory. I met with Commissioner Blanes about a week and a half ago, more or less, and I know that he is not happy with the results from that he's seeing regarding, and please, sir, if I make a mistake in what I say, please call my attention. But if I recall our conversation is that Commissioner Blanes was very disheartened because some of the projects that he has brought forth have not progressed at the rate that he envisioned that they would. Starting with the street markers and the finish on them, which we're rolling out, and Mr. Penna reported to me last week before the whole Dorian episode. Mr. Penna reported that we were rolling out 4 signs per week on average, weather permitting. And obviously, we had brought to you at a different point in time the cost for the design that was procured or secured by Mr. Penna during his time as acting city manager for the entrance signs at key points in the city. And the commission accepted those signs as very aesthetically pleasing. So I asked Mr. Blanes if he would consider, bringing some money from, or depleting a little bit of money from the reserve so we could at least start to address the issue of the street signs so that we can start to improve the image of the city or branding the city in a more aesthetically pleasing way. So that seemed to be he said it would be a start. So what I've done is, in your preliminary budget before you this evening, I have taken consideration, I've discussed the signs with Mr. Penna as well, so that we can have a point of departure. And we talked about 2 entrance signs on 62nd Avenue, and then another 2 signs on, Juan, can you talk about the locations again? I know we had 2 on 62nd Avenue, and 1 on 20th Street, and the 1 on 62nd coming into the city. Is that correct?
Those will be on standard poles, yes.
On standard poles. And then the other 2 were?
The one replacing the one at 57th and 14th Street and 67th and Coral Way.
So that would be the entrance sign on Sylvania,
That's correct.
and the other one?
Coral Way and 67th Avenue by the CVS.
By the CVS. So those are the 4 that we actually included in the budget by depleting reserves. Now, I know that several meetings ago, the commission sort of put this on hold. I'm bringing it back because I did sense in Commissioner Blanes, he was not happy with the results that we were providing.
Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Manager. Yes, Commissioner, go right ahead.
I don't recall us ever putting this on hold. Possibly about a year and a half ago, we, endorsed this concept and pretty much, was hoping that the administration would find a path to bring these signs to the city. And, it hasn't happened. I, in particular, feel that we need to change the sign that is on 8th Street and 57th Avenue at the parking lot of the Latin American. I have asked privately with administration, and here publicly I've stated that we need to do all that we can to change that sign. That sign looks very, very bad. It looks like a tombstone. I've had many residents complain about that particular sign. That is the sign that people see more than any other sign. So I think that instead of calling the owner of this property, I think that, we need to do more. We need to send him a letter. We need to make it official so he can pay particular attention to what we want. We haven't done that. So I think that would be a start. And in particular, that sign would be of utmost importance. If we're going to do anything with the signs, we need to do that sign. It was mentioned that there would be a sign going on 67th Avenue and Coral Way, okay, at the opposite angle of the city. That's perfect. And hopefully throughout the city, the smaller signs, the standalone signs can be placed, right? Yes. Okay, I've been harping on this for at least 2.5 years. We've changed the whole look of our commercial area. We have apartment buildings, beautiful buildings, and we dressed up the city in a beautiful gown, but we're not giving her any shoes. She's barefoot. That's the analogy that I can best describe this. And you know what? This does not take a whole lot of money. It does not take a whole lot of money. People will notice more a new sign, a nice sign for a change in the city of West Miami and say, hey, wow, look, that looks great. The city of West, they see a building, they see 100,000 buildings every day. But, you know, for the last 70-something years, we've had the same signs. And you know what? And it's about time that, you know, we have some pride and that we bite the bullet and we get some new signs to cause demarcation, you know, within the boundaries to our city. The other point is the street signs. That's been another issue, you know, that I've been concerned with. You know, we did not allocate the money to get them all done, you know, at once. We're trying to do our best, but I've noticed that these signs are rough looking. They are very porous, and they're frayed. I spoke with Mr. Pena, and Mr. Pena told me that, you know, the difference is that the older signs have been painted a lot more, and that's why they look, you know, like they're less porous. But again, it's my observation that the signs that we're putting out, you know, some of them are very, very porous. And the more porous, the more humidity gets in. The more humidity gets in, the more expansion, and before you know it, they're cracking and they're breaking. So we need to make sure that we're putting out something that is of quality and it's going to last, and that looks good, that looks right. So some of the ones that are out there now, they need to be painted. They need to be repainted. They need to be repositioned. Because right now, what we have is a mismatch of signs that does not look good. And the new signs, street signs that we're putting out, you know, are not being placed correctly. And they don't look right. So I much rather do things slower, but do them right, do them perfect, do them where they're going to look great, and not the situation that we have now, that some just don't look right. So that's something that Mr. Pena needs to address, and you, Madam Manager.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mr. Penna, could you speak to Commissioner Blanes' concern about the street
Madam Mayor,
signs?
after that, I would like to.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Again, this, like I explained to the commissioner, the street signs are made with the same cast molds that we've had for 70 years. The molds, all that we did was modify them a bit to raise them 6 inches off the ground and add the circle for the seal. However, it's the same mold we've always used. So the porousness of it is when they first come out, yes, we give them 2 coats of paint, and that's not enough to cover all the defects in the cement. But the other ones that are out there are been out there for a lot longer time, and they've been painted a lot more, so they have a thicker coat of paint. In discussions with Commissioner Blanes, I agreed to look and see if there was a thicker paint available out there to be able to redo the ones that we have already put out.
Thank you. Commissioner, is that acceptable, the thicker? I think that might take care of it. I do.
Let's make one thing clear here. It's not that I don't appreciate the effort that's being done, but I would like to see more quality. Maybe less quantity and more quality. And we also had discussed, you know, the possibility of putting them on platforms, because right now they're just being placed on the grass or on the sidewalk. So they don't look right. Somehow they just don't look uniform. They just don't look right. And you know, I'm trying to get our city to look good, to look better. You know, to say, hey, here we are. Here's West Miami. You know, we've done an incredible thing. We've changed the whole face of the commercial corridors. You know, but yet we have not done more to say, hey, here we are. You know, the city of West Miami. Look at us. I mean, you know, we even made a newspaper. We had more growth than any other city in Miami-Dade County. And we can't get some nice signs up to cause a demarcation of our boundaries? I mean, I don't know. Am I the only one that thinks that way?
No, Mr. Penna, I like your plan of looking into better quality paint, if that's what you're saying. I think that would possibly address the commissioner's concern, because I understand where you're coming from, that the ones that are there have had many coats of paint, and like when you paint your wall at home, you know, one coat's only gonna cover so much, and second and third coat is gonna cover a lot more, so I believe your plan of looking into a better quality paint might take care of that concern. I believe Commissioner Blanca had something?
Yes, yes, please. About the paint, maybe it's okay. I believe it will be okay. But I believe that the commission vote no on the matter of the new ones. I don't agree to do this, to put too much expense at this time after what just happened to us with the hurricane. Thank God it didn't touch us. We should concentrate now in saving money to our reserve. Our priority is the water project. Thank you.
Commissioner, then you're addressing the entrance sign, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner. Does anyone else have any comments or concerns on item E?
Well, no, my comment, yes, I want to just make a comment that I am not an expert in that type of concrete or cement. I don't know. And I understand what Blanes said, that it has some porous. I don't know, you know, this deep type of cement where you make it the mold and you get it out. If then you paint with the heavy things that cover the porous, I don't know. I am not an expert in that. I don't know what customarily that has been done. I agree with Blanes that we have to enhance the city, and we have to show our residents that they are proud to live in West Miami. And because they see the city is growing, and they like to see all laws are growing, not only the buildings and all in the commercial perimeter. I agree with him that we have to do some things for everybody. And that's part of the new city that we have. We may call new because the new way that we are doing. We are adding to the city about 3,000 residents with the apartments that we're building. So, but I don't know an expert in that, so I don't know Juan and Blanes and Juan, why you agree with the concrete or the cement. I don't know that type of situation. I don't have comments about that. I agree that should be good, it should be beautiful. I mean, I agree that, but I am no expert to say which is the best way, because I know, but I don't know if this can be with a coat, heavy coat, shiny or something, like they painted streets. It's a heavy material, shiny or something like that. One knows better than me and better than you. I don't know if you know about that. I don't know. That's my comment, you know.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Anyone else? Madam Manager?
Yes, just to clarify what Commissioner Blanes stated is, in order for us to move in the direction where he believes that the signs would probably be, the best course of action, at least from a starting point, and now I'm talking about the other signs on the ones that we're bringing to you for your consideration. For starters, we need to hear the entrance signs, exactly.
So now you're speaking to the entrance sign.
The entrance signs.
Go ahead.
What I would like to know is how the commission feels, what kind of instructions we're going to receive from you, because as you know, those signs would not fall on public right-of-way. We would have to actually execute an easement, if you would, with each property owner. I know with CVS, it may take a little bit longer. We may have one already on file because we do have a sign there. And the one for the Latin American entrance, I don't know that we have one. That has been there forever. We would have to actually see how the entire commission or the majority of the commission feels, so that we can address it in writing as requested by Commissioner Blanes.
Okay, I do have a comment and a question, but Commissioner Blanes has asked for the table, so.
Madam Manager, we all agreed to this a while back ago, and we told you to get it done.
No, sir.
Yes, we did.
No,
Yes,
I'm
we did.
sorry,
We
with all due
discussed-
respect.
We discussed that the location on Southwest A Street and 57th Avenue, which is a Latin American, would be procured, there would be communication, and there would be whatever would need to get done to do that. Now you're asking us again.
No, sir.
We already told you to do that. We all agreed to it. So, and the reason why you say that I'm upset, I'm not really upset, but I'm very dismayed that this has been something, that has not given the attention that I believe that it should have been given.
If you feel,
I'm kind of bewildered, really, why it hasn't been given the attention.
may I respond, Madam Mayor?
Yes, thank you,
Respectfully,
Commissioner. Madam Manager,
Blanes,
go ahead.
last year, when you brought this and you wanted to fast-track these decorative entrance signs, which I think they're beautiful, by the way, and I would love to have one in each corner, okay? When Mr. Penna presented the concept, everybody embraced the actual aesthetics. Then we brought you back the cost for the signs, and it was shortly after I returned to the city, and we had an estimate of about $72,000 or $79,000 to complete all the signs. Please correct me, Mr. Penna, if my memory fails me. At no point in time was I given any direction, nor Mr. Penna, to go and pursue in writing an easement, if you would, or a location from these property owners. But we did, and I think most of us have spoken to the property owner regarding the entrance signs. I know I have. And I know Commissioner Blanes, you have approached the property owner on 57th and 8th as well. I don't know if this requires, a vote by the commission authorizing me to write them and present them with a contract for them to sign, because that is going to entail work on the part of our city attorney, and that has never been instructed to us to pursue. So inasmuch as I agree that it's a very, very nice idea and it's great, the commission postponed this last year. And it was left to look at it again in the future, and that's exactly what we're bringing back to you. Now, in an effort to address it, to try to meet you halfway, if you would, and revitalize this project, Mr. Penna and I sat down last week, and we looked at the proposals, and we looked at the two locations that he described as a point of departure for these signs. I have never been instructed to write a letter to Latin American or their corporation with a joint partnership agreement condition in it. That hasn't happened, and the clerk is acknowledging that because she keeps the record. So if you instruct me, I will be on it tomorrow. But it's going to require the assistance from the city attorney, because there has to be legal language in that proposal. So it's in your hands, it's in the budget, I have addressed it, and we move forward if this is what the commission wants.
My question is, we're talking about a 57th Avenue and 8th Street location, and that is not one of the locations, that is item E.
No, ma'am.
So are we talking about two different things here?
Again,
The proposed locations that I gave you was because we have either owned the right-of-way there, or
Correct.
we have an easement. The one on 57th and 8th, we still don't have an easement there.
Okay,
So that is
so-
why it's not being proposed.
Okay.
If Mr. Commissioner Blanes wishes to not do the one on 57th and 14th at this point and concentrate on 57th and 8th Street, we could do that. Where we place them, it's up to you.
Okay.
But the reason why we put the other four locations, because we already have access to those.
Understood. Okay, now I understand.
we have discussed this location here.
Yes,
We have.
yes.
I don't know if you all recall, but I said that there were some residents that live on 10th Street that approached me, and they told me that that sign looks like a tombstone. You all agreed, it looks horrible, doesn't look good. We've done a lot to change our city. And correspondingly, we should have a nicer, better sign there. And you all agreed. And we told the administration to find a way for us to be able to put a sign there. Now, if that would have happened, then maybe a lot sooner, we would be getting this information that she needs now more consensus from us to legally write a letter to the property owner to get it done. But a lot of time has passed and nothing has happened. So,
Mayor,
so
may I-
that's why I'm dismayed.
Okay,
You know,
but
I'm not
ag-
upset
again,
at
Commissioner,
anybody. I'm not upset at anybody.
when that was discussed,
One at a
I
time.
already.
when that,
Wait, I'm not done. I'm not upset at anybody. I just want to
Please.
see this done.
Yeah, you finished?
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner, Vice Mayor, if you wait, I believe Mr. Penna had something to.
right, during that,
You're
those,
next, sir.
during
You're
those
next.
discussions, every time that property was mentioned, it was mentioned that we do not have an easement.
Okay. Thank you, Mr.
Okay,
Penna.
Mayor,
Vice Mayor.
May
I
I,
think,
You're
I
next,
think-
sir. You're next. Yes, go ahead.
no, let him talk.
Are you sure you have the table?
No, let him talk.
Okay. Mr. Attorney.
on the issue of Southwest 57th Avenue and 8th Street, there's no legal issue that I have to be involved with asking the owner of the property to cede that property. The only way that legally we could do something to force it is through eminent domain. So other than asking, please let us do it, we would have to go through eminent domain. I have nothing to do with it.
Okay, again, I want to be sure we are discussing something that is not on the agenda right now. But if we want to, incorporate that into this discussion, very well. But to keep the records clear, that is not one of the locations that we were going to discuss on this agenda. Commissioner, I believe you had something to say?
I don't think we need to even consider eminent domain. I think that if we just have a frank face-to-face conversation with the property owner that is a very busy person, and we can pin him down and say, hey, look, this is what we want to do, he will probably agree to it. It's just that, you know what, I don't think we have prioritized doing that. And hopefully, I'm hopeful that this can happen. So I think it would be a very easy thing to do. And I think that he will agree. But I can't do it. Not within my pay scale. So, my job specification, someone else needs to do it.
Okay, let's do this.
Let's finish this.
Commissioner Diaz-Padrón, do you have anything on this at all?
I just have three minor concerns, I guess you can.
Go ahead.
Number one is the pricing of the signs. I don't know what's standard, I don't know what's not, but I do have concerns with the classification of a sole source vendor on this. It's something I can talk to Mr. Penna about here or later, whatever you want. It's a street sign, so I don't.
again, we got this vendor through searching through other municipalities that had redone their signs. Miami Shores is the one that used them in the past, and so have other cities in Hollywood and in Miami-Dade County. And they are the only ones that deal with making signs for municipalities. No one else that I have approached has provided us with a quote, even after sending them the same identical design.
Okay. The second concern I have is I almost consider this like public art because it's sort of to people's taste. And in the Coral Gables, I don't know if you've been following some of that. They always have issues with residents whenever they put something out. So the concern I have is I like this design, for example, personally. The other one I'm not super in love with, but I'm not sort of the king of aesthetics. So is this something that would go through some of our other boards, or is it something that we can go through some people with a little more design? You know what I'm saying?
You're talking about the marquee versus the pole.
Are these two options? I think they're.
I believe we were gonna use both of them.
Yeah,
Some
I think they're
some
both,
location
right?
will be pole, some location will be the, I'm gonna call it not marquee, I don't know if I'm referring to this lower one. Is that a right terminology, a marquee sign
Yes.
versus the pole sign? Okay.
Yeah, it all
The two in the
depends on
package.
the width of the right of way.
I see them.
I don't think we have an architectural board. I don't think we can be too picky, you know, I think we would be lucky if we get that. I mean, I think that they look great, and I think most residents, if not all residents, considering what we have there now, will love them.
Right, I've talked to the same resident on the 57th and 8th sign. I think I've talked to the same resident that you did, because the word tombstone rings a bell.
This is a lady that lives on 10th Street that is a flight attendant for American Airlines. I
Yes.
forget her name.
Yeah, we spoke to the same
Riqueñez.
Is she
resident.
the one?
Yes.
Okay.
Mrs.
she-
Riqueñez.
I'm not sure what her name is, but there's some residents there that not just her, that brought this to my attention. And I mean, it doesn't take that. It just, I mean, if you drive by there and you look at it, it just doesn't look nice. It doesn't look very appealing.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner.
Yeah, I went.
Thank you, Commissioner Diaz-Padrón, Commissioner Blanes. Let me offer something for your consideration so that perhaps we can meet in the middle and make everyone happy. We can't make everyone happy all the time, but perhaps we can meet in the middle here. And I'm going to offer this for your consideration. Commissioner Diaz-Padrón, by the way, I had a question mark on the sole source vendor as well. It's circled with a question mark, and I was going to ask that, so thank you for asking that. Commissioner Blanca, I also had a question and an asterisk by the money as well. But yet I do understand your concern, and you're right. We have been discussing this for quite some time. So I am in agreement with you there. Is it possible, and again, I'm going to repeat what I said earlier on another item. I will never agree to deplete my reserves, if at all possible. So, is it possible that we can pick one location, be in agreement with one location, one sign? And if we did that, Madam Manager, would we have to take the funds from reserve? Just a generic question. I don't want to take, I don't think we should take on the entire $56,000 project now, but I want to get started. To Commissioner Blanes's concerns, if we could take one poll and decide on which poll we think is the most important at this time, and start with one poll. Because we're going to be doing this at the same time that we are doing our street signs.
Well,
And Commissioner Blanes agreed to slow that down for the sake of quality. So I'm okay with that as well. But I'd like to see this possibly get started, if we can, without going into reserves. Commissioner Blanes, are you accepting, or would you be okay with that? To get started with one poll at a lesser cost?
When you say poll, you talk
Or,
about.
sign, entrance sign,
Okay.
I'm sorry, entrance sign. I'd like to take, my recommendation would be to, yes, let's get it going, but let's take one entrance sign, not the entire 4 signs at $56,000.
You know, of course, I would agree to that. I would rather have something than nothing.
Good.
But, again, how long have we been discussing this?
Agreed.
It's been 2 budgets.
Agreed.
Or 3 budgets, I don't know, we haven't done it.
Agreed.
And, you know, I mean, when are we gonna do it?
Well, this is what I'm saying.
Are we ever gonna do it?
This is what I'm saying.
Like the street signs. I think, you know, I'll be dead and gone by the time we get all the street signs out there, you know?
I hear you.
I would like to see it done, you know?
Okay.
I'm asking for the stars, you know? If I miss, hopefully I land on the moon.
So
But I have to sit here and I have to demand, because this is not for me, okay? This is
Understood.
not to make me happy.
Understood.
This is for our city and for our residents, and to instill pride in the place that we live and we call home.
So then
Okay?
you
So,
would,
so this has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with me. Now, if you all disagree with me, okay, that's fine. But this is not about me. So let's get that squared away in everybody's minds.
agreed.
Okay?
So you would be amicable to my suggestion of, yes, let's get it started
Yes,
now.
of course.
Let's take one, and we can decide on which one of all these locations we would start with. That way, we won't have to go into reserves, but I'm waiting for the manager to, your input on that. Can we take one location of an entrance sign without taking from, I guess I should ask you,
We
where
could
would
take
the
for
mon-
one sign, we can deplete contingency and not, and put the money that we,
I don't like the word deplete. Can we, is there any other, and
the problem is,
Madam Finance Director, I don't like the word
Okay.
deplete at
the-
all.
The problem that we have is, even if some accounts, you have a little bit of extra money that you didn't spend at the end of the year, what we have, and Mrs. Leon is here and she can testify to this. You have accounts where you spend more and you need to keep a little bit of those reserves so that we can clean up the accounts that have gone over with operational expenses during the course of the year before the auditors come in. Otherwise, they'll have a finding in that report. Am I correct, Mrs. Leon? Okay, therefore, if you're going to, let's not use the word deplete, if you're gonna reroute monies and start by one sign, we can take money from the $40,000 contingency that we have, which is 529, 429, reduce that amount and put money for one sign from contingency and put the $26,000 from general fund back into reserves, and then you'll have the $166,000 back into reserves instead of 140,000. But you have to take it from somewhere.
Thank you, Manager.
We had a credit line of over $1 million, and we paid probably like $100,000 in interest.
No, sir. About
70?
36, no, about 36,
Okay,
$40,000.
so 36, where do those $36,000 come from?
That's taxpayer money and they were budgeted.
Okay.
Commissioner, that's a whole different thing. That was
But
because of the
I
hurricane.
know, but-
So
but
we can't
the
compare,
point- the
we
point that
cannot,
I'm- the point that I'm- the
I'm
point
sorry,
that
I
I'm
don't mean
trying
to
to
interrupt you.
make-
We cannot compare those, that's apples and oranges.
The point that I'm trying to make is that whenever we need money for things that we need to get done, all of a sudden the money shows up.
Well, that was
So
beyond
why-
our
So
control.
why can't we find the money for this?
The money showed up in the budget. If you look at the budget presentation this evening, sir, the money is in there. It's very close to the whole cost for the signs.
Thank
We
you, and I
located-
appreciate that.
We located $56,000. I don't know if you've looked at your budget book, but it's there and it's divided into two funds.
You did tell me that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, you did say that to me. So I know about it, but
Well, Mayor Blanes,
Wait,
we
let
have to,
Commissioner Blanes finish. Are you,
I agree with you.
okay,
I will take that compromise.
thank you, sir. Vice Mayor, you had something to say? No, he's done. I just didn't. Okay, so you have. No, he's done, sir. I just wanted to let him finish. He had the table, and now it's your turn. Do you have nothing, Vice Mayor Suarez, to say?
yes,
Yes, you have something to say, or no, you have nothing to say? Okay, we'll take a moment for the Vice Mayor to return to the table.
Excuse me, can I?
Yes. Why don't we take a 5-minute break? Let's take a 5-minute break. Okay, we're gonna take a 5-minute break. Yes, okay. Let's call the meeting back to order. Madam Clerk, it's 9:45. Vice Mayor Suarez, you had the table before you needed a snack.
no, what I suggest you and Commissioner Blanes is finish this item.
Okay?
You propose to him, install one of these, signs, and maybe next year we do another one, we do 3. Totally, there are 4 or 5, it's not too many.
So if we cannot do it this year, in 2 years, we may do it the whole thing. And you propose to him, start with 1.
Thank you.
And Blanes agree with that? Okay, I agree with that, start with 1. You
Thank-
cannot do it. See, in politics, it's the art of the possible. It's not the art of the what you wish.
That's why I agree.
Because you wish maybe go to everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die.
Exactly.
And we cannot put 5, we put 1, put 1. And next year we see, we put 2 or whatever. Maybe it's so good, and the residents start to talk about it, and everybody here get happy. Hey, let's go to do it. And maybe next year we get the money for that.
Thank you,
But at
Vice.
least the mayor proposed to you start with 1.
Thank
And I
you.
agree. You agree, I agree too.
Thank you, Vice Mayor, and I appreciate how we're coming together and working together like we always do.
It's like plucking feathers from a geese with the least amount of hissing.
And more importantly, Commissioner Blanes.
That's the art of taxation anyways.
At least this way, we're gonna give the city one shoe, right? We can't leave the city with no shoes. So this way, we're gonna start,
I was
we're gonna
hoping
give
to-
her
I
one
was hoping to
shoe.
give her a petty, a petty and
Well,
some
okay, we're gonna start with,
stockings.
okay, this is.
And you know what, and
This
then
is a
some
start.
nice shoes.
Okay, this is a start. So now, I'd like to decide on tonight so that we can get this started and move forward is which entrance
57th
sign?
Avenue and A Street.
Okay, that's not the one that's on here, but I
Oh,
know we discussed
okay.
it. So no, I'm listening.
I'll
So,
settle for 24th Street and 67th Avenue then.
67th Avenue, 24th Street, okay,
Or
thank
it's,
you.
those are the two places that people see the most.
Okay,
67th Avenue and Courtway.
Yes.
Okay,
is everyone in agreement? Or
agree. Yes.
Commissioner Blanca, do you agree with
That's
starting with
yes,
that
that's
one?
yes.
Yes. Vice Mayor
Yes, yes,
Flores?
I agree.
Mr. Commissioner Blanes, you agreed on that one. Commissioner
I
Diaz-Padrón?
have a weird location. I still have lingering concerns about the vendor, but besides that.
Okay, no, let's address your concern. I want to be sure we address all concerns, so then when we leave here, that when we leave this item, we know what we're going to do, and we can get started. I don't want to leave this open-ended,
No, I mean,
so.
I think the location, I think we're all in agreement with the location and the signage. I think I just need to clear, get rid of my concerns with Mr. Penna at a later time. I don't think that's something that I need to air out now.
Okay.
Good.
Okay, so now my question on this 67th Avenue and 24th Street sign, is it going to be the marquee type or the pole, Mr. Penna? Marquee. The marquee. Now, can you give me an estimated cost of that sign for this location?
12,000 and change.
Actually, more.
Okay.
Because of the lights.
$15,000.
Exactly. And that's what I was going to suggest, $15,000 because we do have to pay FPL to put a drop there.
Because the sign that's there is not obviously lit at this
Non-illuminated,
point.
correct.
And the little water fountain? I'm just kidding.
I was like, what?
Okay, go ahead.
The water
Okay,
fountain.
now, this might be to Commissioner Diaz-Padrón's concern. We don't have to go out to bid for this?
Again, we will go out to bid for it, but so far I've only found one vendor that's willing to build it for us.
So we will.
Using this design.
Yes,
So we will go out to bid, and then you will bring those bids to us?
correct.
Okay,
And just for the record, it's aluminum, right? It's anodized aluminum?
Yes.
And so, it will, withstand the test of times, And it's gonna be painted dark. It's,
Again, once we get closer to that, we'll bring it
we
back.
can bring, okay. all
okay,
right.
so, Mr. Penna, you're gonna go out to bid for a marquee sign, an entrance sign on 67th Avenue and 24th Street. You will bring those bids back to us. And Madam Manager, again, this money is coming
I
from
would-
where?
I would propose that you reduce your contingency fund, which is account 529-429, and reallocate $15,000 from the $40,000 that is contemplated in your budget, and set aside a street entrance sign and call it sign number 1 if you would, in a capital, in a 605 account, which is capital.
So you will be amending the budget and reducing that amount?
I'm sorry?
You'll be amending the budget
Yes.
and obviously leaving only the 15?
You would have to
whatever-
vote on that now, and then again when we discuss the tentative budget in the coming, this meeting.
Okay,
Okay?
is everyone clear? Any other
Clear.
questions?
Yes,
Okay,
agree.
so, all in favor for this direction that we've given to staff? All in
Aye.
favor?
Aye.
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 Commissioner Blanca? Aye, okay. Clear?
So, thank you.
Everyone knows what we're doing? Okay.
Again, so that I can get this correctly and not make another mistake, would be the entrance sign on 67th Avenue and Coral Way. We are going to bid on this using the design standards that was brought before you. The light includes illumination, $15,000, be reallocated from contingency fund into a capital street sign account for the first sign for the next fiscal year, correct? In an amount of $15,000.
We're not
Am I
depleting,
correct?
we're not depleting any reserves by doing so.
That would allow you to put back, if you're only going, if you've settled or agreed to one
Yes,
sign
we
for
have.
next fiscal year, then we will replenish reserves with the $26,000 that I had taken from reserves to accommodate Mr. Blanes's ongoing request with the street entrance signs.
And then we will proceed with the others as our finances permit.
That's up to
Mr.
the
Commissioner
commission.
Blanes?
Yes.
Yes.
We'll proceed. with-
And can we also agree to come to a consensus on advising the city manager to approach whichever way possible the owner of Latin American
In
to-
writing?
and whatever it takes. Riding, throw a rock at his window,
I
give him a
can't do
flat
that.
tire.
I can't
I
do
don't
that.
know.
I've
you
talked
know.
to him before, and you have too.
And
And he said no?
I think that, he is just a very busy person.
I agree.
So you have to pin him down.
So
But
we
then
are
we
not going to
finish
do it
with-
now,
we
but
will
we are
be
not
at-
going to do it with this budget, so that can wait now.
We're finished with this?
Well,
That's it?
we'll add that location to the list for staff to approach the owner and see, when we will be able to do that.
Maybe-
Let's just say it'll be on the list.
Maybe we can even do it before the next budget. Maybe we can do it in the middle of the year.
Okay.
you
No,
know,
but we
we'll
cannot
find-
Money-
take it
money-
out of
money
the
per-
reserve.
money-
We
money
cannot
permitting.
take the money out of the reserve just for this.
You sound very pessimistic, Commissioner.
one-
about-
first
No,
of all,
I'm not
one
pessimistic.
at a-
I'm
one-
realistic, which is
One at a
different.
time,
You know, we're-
one at a time.
we're-
Commissioner.
We have a $6 million
Commissioner.
budget. We're talking about $15,000.
For one sign.
Yes.
Okay.
you want two
And we
now?
have a $6 million budget. So, you're being penny wise and pound foolish.
Commissioners, we
Because I'm
are,
very wise.
we are finished with this item.
Yeah, this is.
We
over, I
have
think.
come to an
That's it.
agreement
On the first sign.
on, yes, on the 67th Avenue and 24th Street.
Yeah.
We have
we don't-
directed staff, they know what they have to do. We have finished item E. Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Yes, item F. This is a report and request for instructions by the Office of the City Clerk in reference to request by the Elections Department for the use of the West Miami Community Center as an early voting site for the 2020 presidential preference primary, and general elections. And with that, 2020 will be a very busy year, including our own elections, but this time, the Elections Department has requested the use of the community center as an early voting site during the 2020 countywide presidential elections. And this office respectfully requests your guidance and specific instructions on how to proceed. The dates that are requested are as follows. For the March 17, 2020 presidential preference primary election, The space is needed at the West Miami Community Center from February 25th, 2020 through March 15, 2020 for early voting. For the primary election to take place on August 18, 2020, they need the space from July 28th, 2020 through August 16, 2020. And for the general presidential election taking place on November 3rd, 2020, they need the space from October 13th through November 1st. And this is a request that I received recently from the Elections Department. I'm just a messenger, and I would appreciate your guidance and consideration on the matter so we can respond properly.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, and I'm reading here in your memo, you're saying at this moment there are no scheduling conflicts with the use of the community center facility, and that the dates have been penciled in.
Correct.
Okay.
Mayor,
Yes, Vice Mayor, go
I
ahead.
was reading her memo or whatever, and I think we should go ahead with this because it's a primary and the two primaries and the general presidential election. And always we have been cooperating with the election department for that. So I don't think we have to discuss too much, almost nothing here. I
Yes,
think
we do.
we have, yeah, what do you want to discuss?
One at a time, please. Vice Mayor, go ahead.
I agree, I make a motion if you have the motion.
Okay, hold on,
Second.
hold on, no, point of privilege. I believe Commissioner Blanca had either a comment or a question.
Yes, about the parking. I remember last time you make a complaint because they were
No,
using.
I don't make
Yes,
it. You did it.
No, I didn't, sir.
Get me out of your
One
problem.
at a
You want
time.
to see?
Vice, one at a time, one at a time.
They shouldn't use the one, the one here, the one that they are coming to do business with the city, to do the ones across where the community center is. That's my suggestion.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner. Anyone else? I believe, did you have a question? Okay,
Is this what we did? I'm sorry, is this what we did in 2016?
Yes.
It feels like yesterday, but.
I was just about to say, we've been there, done that. We've offered our community center. Now, excuse me, I have the table. If you two have personal comments, reserve them for after the meeting. Thank you.
Go ahead.
We've done this before. This time seems to be a lot more time consuming. So I'm glad I have our park director here. I noticed one of these dates is dead smack in the middle of summer. Are you okay, John Michael, with having, I know you handled it, but I know it was at times difficult to have the seniors and the children, our summer campers,
It's fine.
cohabitating in the same location for.
It is, using the bathroom and things like that, but it's more difficult for the community center to be traveling than
So
it is for us to adjust. It's fine.
you up to the challenge?
Yeah.
We've been there, done that.
Most of the field trips are 3 times a week during the month of August, and as we wind down the numbers.
Yeah, the attendance will be less at
The
that point,
attendance will
but,
be less.
I just know I was there a couple of times when I was hanging out during
well, I
the
didn't say it would be easy.
during
but
the summer, and I just a personal. I took note of John Michael had to literally escort the seniors through the center, so that the children wouldn't crash into them. I mean, kids are going to be kids. They're in there having lunch, and the seniors would go to the back portion. So John had to literally escort them so there'd be no crash of children and summer campers.
We could try to put them in the front
A
part this year.
huge bug.
Yeah.
This is my eyes, or okay. So I don't know. Maybe we can figure out some way to alleviate that concern. I know you had and so did Maryland. That
Yeah, because it's right during.
they're having to walk through the
and
children during lunchtime, and so that would be my only concern that I want to be sure we look at if there's another way to get them in or out, so we literally don't have them, maybe install a traffic signal, I don't know, inside the building, something so that, we don't have that concern. Any other comments?
Yes,
Yes.
and I am reminded that if the weight room addition starts in the very near future, the construction will be underway, and we're just reporting this so that you are aware that we have, per your approval, we have construction in the works at the recreation center very soon.
That would pose another challenge. Okay, so it's not a question, I'm thinking this time, it's not a question of if we're going to do this, it's just to make it as,
How we're gonna do it.
to make it as easy as possible for both the recreation center and the community center.
There, and Madam Mayor, if I may, and not to throw any monkey wrench into the effort, on the contrary, just to advise you of what we have up ahead, we are also replacing the flooring because it's contemplated in the budget. I think you have all noticed that the floor at the multipurpose facility building, because of the use, has cracked in many areas. We're losing the crown molding in the corners, or the tiling used as crown molding. The flooring has holes, so it's becoming a liability issue and an aesthetics issue, and you know that we use that facility for the purpose of renting, and so we need to keep it very clean and up to date, if you would, and not allow it to deteriorate, so that we can continue to rely on those rentals. So this is just information. We can work around it. We can, sit down and take a look at all these dates and see when the best time would be to entertain these improvements.
Okay, so let's do this. Do I have a consensus that we will allow the elections department to use our community center for these 3 designated time slots? Are we all in favor of that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So with that said, Madam Manager, Mr. Penna, John Michael,
We'll work
and
around it.
Marilyn, the logistics of how we're going to do this, you obviously will work together. Are you gonna come and get this dinosaur of a bug out of here?
That's a nice looking bug.
It's like a dinosaur of a bug.
One.
So the logistics, obviously, I know you guys will take care of that. You will take care of that
Tastes like chicken.
to the best of our ability, so that it works well for all concerned. Thank you. Commissioner, thank you for the bug.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, next item, please.
Next item, this is the tentative budget fiscal year 2019-20 submittal. Item G, submission of the tentative city budget for fiscal year 2019-20 by city manager.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the City Commission. We presented the preliminary budget on July 17th, and following the trim guidelines, truth and millage, tonight we present you with the tentative budget and its amendments following the truth and millage calendar. Everyone should have received a notice of property taxes, which is sent by the Office of Property Appraiser. And in that tax notice, every resident and property owner of the city of West Miami who receives mail here will notice that this meeting was taking place tonight. There's a very brief memo, it's a one-page memo following the tentative budget guidelines and the updates that we prepared in the budget as we got closer to this point in time. And I'd like to just go over these items and mention them for the record as to what changes have occurred. What we've done is, to keep it clean and easy to understand, we have kept the original pages in front of the highlighted pages, and they are flipped so that you can have a point of reference as to where we started with the preliminary budget submittal and where we are today at its tentative submittal. So the bulk of the changes include an increase to the city's general liability policy, and as a result of Hurricane Irma, we are looking at a $20,000 increase in the general liability, which is also the property, the automobile coverage, and everything that is covered under that general liability umbrella. The next item is the increases to the police department salary and benefits. I'm happy to report today that the membership of the West Miami Police Department have voted on a contract and have overwhelmingly and unanimously, correct, Chief? They have approved a contract, and the ratification of that contract is scheduled before you on September 18th. So the salary and the benefits in the police department have changed to coincide with the changes on the pursuant to the vote by the membership and successful negotiations between the PBA and the city of West Miami. And there's also a transfer in an amount of $200,000 to the Water Enterprise Fund for capital improvements to the potable water system. This transfer is being accomplished through use of funding from general funds. There's also an allocation of $225,000 to be funded from the city's half-cent penny tax known as the surtax enterprise funds towards a partial contribution for also the potable water system improvements. And this would be for the restoration piece of the streets and right-of-way areas pending approval of the 5-year transportation plan amendment, which is due for review at the county by November 1st. And it also incorporated, at the time that the memo was written, the $26,000 from general fund to commence the replacement of the city's welcome signs and an additional allocation in the amount of $30,000 towards those welcome signs from PTP. So this last statement is out the window, basically based on what you all approved this evening. So we're going to bring back the $26,000 into reserves, which would take your reserves from $140,000 to back to $166,000. And it would increase the reserves in the half-cent penny tax by $30,000. So you would have an additional $30,000 going into reserves. All changes have been highlighted in yellow in your respective budget books. And like I said, we left the original pages as submitted in the preliminary budget so that it would be easier for you to follow and refer back to the original budget. The last go around with the city's budget is scheduled, the final budget, for September 18th. There has been, our position is that our millage rate would stay flat at 5.8858 for the general fund and 1 mil pursuant to Ordinance 133 devoted to the West Miami Recreation Center. The budget as it was instructed by the commission tonight will include a capital account of $15,000 for one entrance sign to be located on 67th Avenue and Coral Way, and we will reduce, if you would, or reallocate from contingency fund a total of $15,000 and transfer that money into the 529-605 account, which has $26,000, and that $26,000 go back into your reserves. That is what we are proposing at this time. The city must, to comply with truth in millage, the city must advertise in a paper of general circulation. We have to advertise the budget summary ad along with a notice of tax increase. Although we're not increasing the millage, even if we keep the millage flat, because your assessed values have gone up, we must advertise the two signs so that we can be in compliance with the State of Florida Department of Revenue. If you have any questions, I'm very happy to respond to those.
I do.
Go right ahead.
My donation doesn't show on this report
Your donation,
to the police department.
the one that you recently made for
Yeah.
the use because this is for the budget year that ends September 30th. Your new budget kicks in October 1st.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Questions, comments? Madam Manager, on the 15,000 they were referring to, hopefully, if the bids come in lower, that money goes right, that we don't use, goes right back into the same
Into-
account it came from?
To contingency fund. If we
Perfect.
stay under the $15,000 marker, if you would, that money stays, we can either leave it in the 605 account or put it back into contingency, whatever your preference is.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, no questions, no comments? All right, next item, Madam Clerk. Thank you, Madam
The-
Manager.
Yes, and that would be, you do need to open up the public hearing. This is a public hearing, and you need to, obviously, if there are any comments from the public, this would be a good time.
Okay, I don't see here that it said public hearing, but okay. On my agenda, it doesn't say public hearing. Do we need to correct
It
this agenda
says
accordingly?
tentative budget hearings, and these are public.
Usually
this-
after the submittal, the public hearing is opened and.
Right.
open for
We are
public.
on item G, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
Mhm.
let's open the public hearing. Anyone here, has anyone signed to speak up? Speak, Madam
No,
Clerk?
Madam Mayor.
Close the public hearing. Could you read
Yes,
the
item.
resolution, please?
Item H, resolution of the City of West Miami, Florida, establishing the 2019 tentative millage rates upon all real personal property within the city limits for the payments of the amounts appropriated in the 2019-20 tentative budget.
Thank you. I need a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Call the vote.
Yes, Commissioner Diaz-Padrón,
Yes.
Commissioner Blanes.
Yes.
Commissioner Blanca,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Suarez,
Yes.
Mayor Rodriguez.
Yes.
5-0, item passes.
Next item.
Next item, item I, resolution of the City of West Miami, Florida, adopting the 2019-20 tentative budget.
Will you read the resolution? No.
That
That's
is,
the
that is the
That is it. I'm
resolution.
sorry.
Motion.
Motion, I need a second.
Second.
Call the vote.
Commissioner Blanes,
Yes.
Commissioner Blanca,
Yes.
Commissioner Diaz-Padrón,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Suarez, Mayor Rodriguez,
Yes.
5-0, item
Next
passes.
item.
Item J, resolution of the City of West Miami, Florida, adopting the tentative water enterprise fund budget for the year 2019-20 in the sum of $2,038,180.
Los papeles ya no encuentro los
I need a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Call the vote.
Commissioner Diaz-Padrón,
Yes.
Commissioner Blanca.
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Blanes.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Suarez,
Yes.
Mayor Rodriguez,
Yes.
5-0, item passes.
Next item.
Item 6, good of the order.
Anyone have anything? I do briefly. Thank you all for your commitment to this budget and for the time that you spent in going over the budget prior to tonight with the city manager and being prepared for tonight's
Good night.
budget submittal. I need a motion to adjourn.
Mayor,
All in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
Mayor, I'm
Yes.
sorry.
No, yes, go right ahead.
Before you close, oh, okay. Very simple, we could do this off the record. I sent today an email to every commissioner with a template, or with language on the notice that we want to send out to the residents in phase 1, for comments, changes, additions, deletions, and we have a working draft. The city engineer also included a map, which we would recommend that we entertain in the back part of the notice, so that our Public Works Department can start delivering this between now and Monday or Tuesday of next week, so that everyone is made aware of what area is being contemplated for the water improvements, and so that they are noticed that we will be having a meeting on September 11th.
I saw your draft, Madam Manager. It met with my approval. Do I have consensus on the approval for the draft? For the manager to proceed?
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
We have a motion to adjourn. This meeting is adjourned, 10:15.
Good night.
It was adjourned already. No, I hadn't officially adjourned it.
Re-adjourned.